let's get into some baseball here in hour number 1 of the program. Yesterday, we dove into the free agent options at DH, and then we kind of expanded it to, hey, the DH options, they're not really good. Let's see what a corner outfield market looks like, because you may just sign a corner outfielder and have a rotating DH between that corner outfielder and Lourdes Gurriel. That's where our conversation led yesterday. Well, today, let's talk about the post-Christian Walker era. Let's for a moment say that Christian Walker just prices himself out of Arizona. The Yankees are involved. The Mets are involved. The Nationals could be involved. The Giants could be involved. There are a lot of teams that could end up being in the bidding, in the race, in the mix for Christian Walker, that the price just gets completely out of control for the Diamondbacks. And we're talking about a $25 million a year first baseman. Are the Diamondbacks really interested in signing him to a 3-year, $75 million deal? I don't know what their appetite is for that. I don't know. They certainly would like to have him back. One of the best defensive first basemen in the game. Has 30, 40 home run power. That's value. There's value there. But is that the way the Diamondbacks want to spend $20 to $25 million, if not more, depending on how things play out with the Juan Soto sweepstakes, how aggressive Washington wants to be, how aggressive the Yankees want to be in their pursuit of a first baseman? Who knows? The Mets miss out on Pete Alonso and Juan Soto. Could they jump in for Christian Walker? There are so many dominoes that could fall. But let's just say, for the sake of this conversation, he does go to one of those teams. He does go to Washington or one of the New York teams or San Francisco. He goes somewhere that isn't the Arizona Diamondbacks. What do the replacement options look like? Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news here, but this is kind of like how we started the conversation yesterday with the DHs. These are not very encouraging options. You could go the veteran route. Carlos Santana is available, a switch hitter, 39 years old. We've seen this organization do this in the past. Remember Evan Longoria, the over-the-hill but somewhat productive veteran player. Last year, Santana was worth 3 wins above replacement. That was the same as Christian Walker, by the way. Both were worth 3 wins above replacement. Doesn't have a qualifying offer attached to him, so if you signed him, it wouldn't cost you a draft pick, and that's important for a small market team like the Arizona Diamondbacks. That is the option that is most comparable to Christian Walker. He had a similar output. 3 wins above replacement, same as Christian Walker last year. Or we could take a trip. We could hop on the bus, train. I don't know what method of transportation we would use to get to this place, but maybe we take a trip to Reunion City, population us, and we take that trip to Reunion City. And you know who the mayor of Reunion City is? You know who's overseeing Reunion City? And that would be former Diamondbacks first baseman Paul Goldschmidt. A lot of talk about a reunion. So the mayor of Reunion City, Paul Goldschmidt, last year at age 36, had the worst year of his career, was a league average hitter, had a WRC plus of 100. I won't bore you with the details. Just know that 100 league average. Last year, Paul Goldschmidt hitting 22 home runs, driving in 65 RBIs, a league average hitter last year, a 100 WRC plus. Has been on a bit of a decline since 2022. I don't have the number specifically in front of me, but he had like a 175 WRC plus in 2022, and it slowly declined to where he was last year, where he was a league average hitter. And diving into what happened last year, you would be concerned about a career low 7.2 walk percentage. Normally a guy that is consistently in the double digits in terms of his walk percentage. His strikeout rate jumped up to 26.5%. And so you have to dig a little deeper to understand why. And here's the problem. In terms of a percentage, last year, Paul Goldschmidt swung at more pitches out of the zone on a percentage basis last year than any year of his career. So that's why strikeout rate up, walk rate down. We are swinging more outside of the zone. We are not laying off pitches that we normally would lay off in the past. That's where you would be concerned with bringing back Paul Goldschmidt. You are not getting the Paul Goldschmidt that was here the first time. You are not getting the guy the first couple of years that he was in St. Louis. You're not even getting the guy that he was in 2022 with a 175 WRC plus. That cannot be the expectation if Reunion City were to happen. Other members of Reunion City, Josh Bell could come back, trade deadline acquisition. Don't know what the appetite is there. What about old friend Brandon Drury? Maybe he could return, provide some positional flexibility on the defensive side. So not only do you get a first baseman, but can play other places in the infield. Team lost Kevin Newman today. He signed with the Angels, I believe. Angels just signing everybody. So let's just for a second take Carlos Santana, 39 years old. We'll take him off the table. Let's take Reunion City off the table with Paul Goldschmidt. I think if you do that, if you take those two options off the table, we are looking at a platoon situation. Pavin Smith would play against the righties as a left-handed bat, and then you would have a righty bat to play against the lefties. So what options would fit that mold? Well, you have to think it's somebody who's not necessarily going to want to play every day or need to play every day. Somebody who's been in a platoon in the past, who's maybe aging, deteriorating, not the player that they were a couple of years ago and would be okay with being a part of a platoon, or has some really stark splits, lefty versus righty, and so would thrive in a platoon. You're looking at Mark Hanna, Matt Duffy, Yuli Gurriel, Miguel Sano, J.D. Davis. Those are the options. That's what's available to you at first base. And so maybe by doing this exercise, we get back to a place of the Diamondbacks might be okay with spending $25 million on Christian Walker. They might be okay getting into a bidding war with the Yankees and with the Mets and with the Nationals because these other options aren't great. They might not feel comfortable going to a platoon. They might want to get somebody that is a solid everyday first baseman. That's what Christian Walker is. That's what Christian Walker provides. So maybe there is a little bit more of an appetite to pay what the Yankees or Mets or Nationals or Giants might be willing to pay for Christian Walker. Now, I'm sure the Diamondbacks will have their limit, and if the bidding gets to that limit, then the Diamondbacks might have to bow out and consider one of these other options. And I'm not against Reunion City. I'm not against bringing back Paul Goldschmidt. It needs to be done in the right way. The expectations need to be set correctly. You are not getting the old Paul Goldschmidt. If you get a league average hitter that provides you 22 home runs and 65 RBIs, and I think the RBI numbers would probably go up here in Arizona because that Cardinals team underperformed last year. And if you put him in the right spot in the lineup, and he wouldn't be expected to be the guy that he was the first time around where he was the entire offense, you put him in the right spot of the lineup, you have the right guys in front of him that can get on base, you could see some better RBI numbers. But I worry about a guy who's maybe losing that patience that he has in the zone. That stood out like a sore thumb this morning when I was looking at the numbers. Because I wanted to be like, okay, what's the trajectory been like for Paul Goldschmidt? What has it looked like over the last couple of years? And it has been a slow downturn. And this year was the starkest of downturns. And I wanted to dive into why. And that outside of the zone swing rate number being the highest it's been of his career that's it. But that's where the season was lost for Paul Goldschmidt. Now, you look at all the other years, he's been normally good at that. So you would hope that maybe the adjustments can be made, but he's going to be 37 years old. What can you realistically expect? And so I understand why Reunion City is popular. I get it. If you're going to campaign for that, if you're going to push for that, just make sure it's with the right information at your disposal. He is not going to come in here and be the MVP candidate that he was the last time around. He's not going to be the guy he was even in 2023, where he was a 122 WRC plus and hit like 30 to 35 home runs. I don't think he's going to be that. You bring him in here to be the first baseman, you're looking at maybe at most you're looking for 15 to 20 home runs. You're looking for 75 plus RBIs, and you're just looking for somebody who can consistently be out there at first base and provide that right-handed pop in the lineup. That's what you're at. Those are fair expectations. And if that's okay by you, if you're okay with spending money on a 1-year deal for that, sign me up. I'll buy a ticket to Reunion City. If you think that he's going to all of a sudden find the fountain of youth and be back to where he was in the first couple years in St. Louis and where he was before he got traded, I don't want a ticket. I decline. I'm uninterested.